Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Stories from the Strongrooms. This month we're going to look at Hull's coat of arms, which everyone knows as the Three Crowns. If you're new to our YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe by clicking the little bell icon on the right so you will be alerted whenever a new video is added. So, Hull's coat of arms, or armorial bearings, better known locally as the Three Crowns. The Three Crowns appear everywhere in the city, on signs and buildings, documents and promotional literature. It's a symbol of the city, and there can be few visitors who don't see it and fewer residents who don't understand that it represents Hull. However, although the Three Crowns are instantly recognisable, their history and meaning are perhaps less well known. Let's go back to the beginning. As many of you will already know, Hull started out as a small port for the transfer of goods between rivercraft and sea-going vessels, built in the 12th century on a swamp owned by the Cistercian Abbey of Meux. It was eventually purchased by King Edward I, who granted it its first charter in 1299, creating a borough which was soon governed by a mayor and aldermen, collectively known as the Bench or the Corporation, because it had a corporate identity. In the Middle Ages, documents recording legal transactions were authenticated by wax seals. By the mid-14th century, the mayor and aldermen, as a corporate body, were involved in property deals, and therefore needed a seal to authenticate documents recording these. This is known as the Common Seal, and it first survives on a document of 1347. This shows an image of a king, presumably Edward I, flanked by lions of England, and with the legend Sigillum Commune de Kingston super Hull, seal of the commune of Kingston and Hull. You'll notice that it doesn't include the Three Crowns, but this is still the formal seal of the City Council, used to seal legal documents. The first use of the Three Crowns motif is on the seal of the mayor, which survives first from 1415. Already the form has been established which is so familiar to us today. Three crowns arranged one above the other and displayed on a shield. The seal, of course, gives us no indication of the proper colour, but there is no reason to believe that the crowns are not gold on a blue background. In the language of heraldry, it's described as azure 3 ducal coronets in pale or. That is, 3 gold crowns arranged one above the other on a blue background. This is demonstrated by a piece of roughly contemporary evidence from one of Hull's ancient parish churches. It's a representation of the borough's coat of arms in the east window of St Mary's Church, Lowgate, and appears to date from the reign of King Richard III. It's worth flagging up that Hull was never formally granted its coat of arms by the College of Arms, which is the heraldry authority in England. Its use predates the foundation of the college by nearly a century. By the 16th and 17th centuries, when heralds went on tour inspecting coats of arms, known as heraldic visitations, ours was approved by them as having been anciently used, giving it official sanction after the fact. So established, Hull's coat of arms gradually permeated the city, and we'll return to its more modern history later. In the meantime, let's look at the 2 most frequent questions which people have about the Three Crowns. Are they crowns or coronets, and what do they represent? So, are they crowns or coronets? The Victorian local historian Thomas Tyndall Wildridge commented that the local mind has been frequently exercised and various attempts have been made to clear the fog of uncertainty which hung over them. But all we need to know is that the correct heraldic description or blazon of them has been, at least since the 17th century, 3 ducal coronets. 19th century heralds, in correspondence with officers of the borough, generally stood by this description, as in this certificate of the arms recorded by heraldic visitations produced by Windsor Herald in 1873. A current senior officer of the College of Arms, Mr. Robert Noel, who enjoys the title of Norroy and Ulster King of Arms, also describes them as ducal coronets. Secondly, they are undoubtedly started life in 1415, representing crowns. You can see similarity between this crown of Henry VI from the 1431 Charter and those on the shield. It's just that the crowns have remained much the same, and the way of describing them has changed. They are crowns which are formally described as coronets. They're referred to locally by ancient custom as the three crowns, so let's carry on doing so. So to the second of the questions, what do they represent? A number of theories have been put forward. The first theory derives from the ducal coronets description, and that they represent particular dukes or dukedoms. However, we've established that in Hull's case at least, the three crowns, albeit described as ducal coronets by later heralds, started life as royal crowns. Therefore, they don't represent any particular dukes or dukedoms, not even the dukedom of Suffolk, which was granted in 1447 to the De la Pole family, which originated from Hull. Another theory is that the three crowns on the arms of Hull represent the three kings of the Nativity story, We Three Kings of Orient Are. The shrine of the three kings was at Cologne in Germany, and Balthasar, Gaspar and Melchior were an object of popular worship as Christian saints in the later medieval period. As the three kings were believed to have been merchants and to have travelled from the east, an heraldic representation of them was suited to a seaport built on the activities of merchants from the east, although Baltic timber was nowhere near as exotic as gold, frankincense and myrrh. Perhaps the cult status of the three kings among pious medieval merchants may have influenced the choice of the three crowns. Popular religion is also behind another explanation, that the three crowns represent the Holy Trinity, the mystical union of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Holy Trinity Church was the centre of life and worship for the people of Hull in the Middle Ages, and this may have influenced not only the number of crowns, but also the choice of the crowns themselves. The New Testament often refers both to God the Father and to Christ as kings. It's likely that this could have influenced the choice of the crowns as the borough's coat of arms. The final explanation for the three crowns being used is perhaps the most obvious one, once it's been established that the ducal coronets started out as crowns. This city has been called Kingston upon Hull since the Charter of Edward I, and such a connection naturally lends itself to being represented heraldically by one or more crowns. Wildridge quotes a poem which was once painted up in the old grammar school, now Hands on History. O well-built royal town, thou hast three crowns, therefore love the king thy benefactor. This, he claims, dated from the 15th century, and if any specific king was meant, it may have been Henry VI, who bestowed 6 charters on the town. The illustration here is taken from the initial letter of the 1532 charter of King Henry VIII. Henry VIII, through his grandmother, was the heir of the Lancastrian kings, and Hull supported the Lancastrian dynasty. Thomas Anson, Mayor of Hull and its Member of Parliament, died on the Lancastrian side at the Battle of Wakefield in 1460. Since then, the town has had a varying attitude to monarchs, from the hostile, as in 1642, to the enthusiastic, as shown by the rapturous reception given to Queen Victoria in 1853. Nonetheless, the formal name has remained Kingston upon Hull. It's appropriate, therefore, that crowns should appear in the city's coat of arms. So there are likely to have been several influences on the choice of the three crowns. The name Kingston, the conspicuous loyalty of the town to the Lancastrian kings, and the locally strong cult of the Holy Trinity. Through its coat of arms, the King of England, the three kings of the Nativity, and the King of Heaven in all his 3 persons were seen to protect the town and its transactions. So the 3 crowns became a symbol of civic pride and its use a means of representing the corporate body. In modern terms, a brand. And this brand, almost from its beginning, was used to badge corporation property, regalia, and really anything with which the corporation was connected. At the high watermark of civic pride, between about 1850 and 1914, Hull's armorial bearings appear on virtually every building of note erected by the corporation. The Guildhall, completed in 1916, is positively smothered in versions of the Three Crowns, as is the City Hall of 1903-9. Versions exist on buildings such as the Northern Library in Beverley Road, 1895, and the 1904 College of Art in Anlaby Road. The coat of arms continue to be proudly displayed on buildings erected after the First World War, notably the Ferronsway development. There is a fine example on the pediment of Brook Chambers, above what is now Costa, carved by Gilbert Ledward, sculptor of numerous war memorials. It displays the shield between recumbent figures representing Neptune, Roman god of the sea, and Ceres, Roman goddess of plenty, representing Hull's commercial activities. A less elaborate version of the arms is on the foundation stone of Queen's House on Jameson Street, dating from 1952. The City Treasury, designed in the 1980s, features a carved version on the Guildhall Road frontage. Mention of the sculpted versions leads us on to discussion of the curious sparseness of Hull's armorial bearings. The city has in its 3 gold crowns on a blue background a very handsome shield of arms, but that's as far as it goes. If we look at the coat of arms of the city of Manchester, you'll see that the arms as granted in 1842 includes a crest, the construction on the helmet, in this case a globe of the world charged with 7 Bs signifying worldwide industry, and supporters on either side of the shield, a lion and an heraldic antelope. You may remember that following the tragic Manchester Arena bombing, the bee once again became a symbol of solidarity with the people of Manchester. Hull, a city of similar if not equal antiquity, has neither crest nor supporters. It doesn't appear that we either assumed them or petitioned to be granted them. At least one heraldry enthusiast has had a stab at designing extras for our coat of arms in the past. A letter of the 24th of November 1946 to the town clerk accompanied this splendid illustration. In it, a Mr. H. Ellis Tomlinson of Thornton-le-Fylde pointed out that Hull was the only one of the 10 principal cities that did not have crest, motto or supporters. He goes on to offer his services in negotiating between the city and the College of Arms and explains his illustration. The crest, a medieval ship known heraldically as a lymphad, is taken from the image on the medieval seal of the Admiral of the Humber, which shows a similar ship with the 3 crowns on its single sail. The supporters are Royal Lions of England, as appropriate for the King's town upon Hull, and are distinguished with black collars bearing the white roses of Yorkshire. The motto, Mare Copia, means abundance from the sea. The town clerk was not convinced, unfortunately. "Dear Sir," he wrote on the 5th of March 1946, "I have consulted the appropriate authority and have received instructions to inform you that whilst your offer is appreciated, the corporation cannot, at the present time, avail themselves of it." And there the matter continues to rest. However, the corporation of the time took a lively interest in its coat of arms. Post-war buildings, stationery and publications were accordingly emblazoned with the coat of arms. Furthermore, it seems to have had an actual policy of licensing local organisations not connected to the City Council to use the 3 crowns on their stationery, liveries and team strips and so on, presumably as a means of keeping some degree of control over the image. In the council year 1945-46, the Property and Bridges Committee gave such permission to the Kingston upon Hull Choral Society, the Hull branch of the British Union of Practical Psychologists, the Hull and District Society of Model and Experimental Engineers, Hull City AFC, Smorex Limited, manufacturers of tobacconist fancy goods, and so on and so on, and notably, of course, the badges of both rugby league teams. So keen was the City Council to protect its coat of arms that a section was inserted in the Kingston upon Hull Corporation Act 1952 to prevent unauthorised use. Any person or organisation using the armorial ensigns of the city in such a manner as to be calculated to lead to the belief that he is duly authorised to so do may be restrained from doing so by an injunction obtained by the corporation. This right is still preserved by the Kingston upon Hull Corporation Act 1984. The coat of arms continues to be used widely, not only by the City Council, but also by many city organisations. Many of these no doubt received permission to do so from the Council in the 1940s and 50s, and there are still occasional requests to the Civic Committee to use the 3 crowns. The City and County of Kingston upon Hull was abolished in 1974 on the creation of the County of Humberside. Hull became a district council, subsequently granted the title City. By order in Council of 21st May 1974, the coat of arms of the former authority was transferred to the new one. On local authority reorganisation in 1996, Hull became a unitary authority, but the statutory instrument of 1995, which instituted the changes, indicates that Hull City Council is what is known as a continuing authority. The College of Arms has acknowledged that the present city is therefore allowed to use the ancient coat of arms of the pre-1974 Council. Following the rebranding of the City Council upwards of 20 years ago, it was decided that so that all versions of the 3 crowns logo could be armorially correct, the City Council should petition the College of Arms for the grant of 3 crowns as a heraldic badge. Heraldic badges are devices granted to individuals and organisations which already have a coat of arms, to which they may or may not bear a resemblance. The City Council, in requesting a badge of 3 gold crowns arranged in pale, which could then be displayed on a variety of backgrounds or none as the occasion demands or as the format of the item being branded requires. The badge will never, of course, replace the actual coat of arms. It permits us to use the 3 crowns motif as a logo, securing the knowledge that we have heraldic authority to do so. The badge was awarded in 2004, and we were also granted a rather striking heraldic standard. Interestingly, the city also has another coat of arms of recent date, or more accurately, it's an official coat of arms for use by the Lord Mayor as Admiral of the Humber. Since 1447, the Council has had the right to appoint an Admiral of the Humber, and since 1488 the post has always been held by the serving Mayor or Lord Mayor. These days the only rights and privileges of the Admiral concern visiting naval vessels, but before 1835 there was an Admiralty Court, and the Mayor as Admiral could claim whales washed up in the Humber. The post remains a prestigious one. Only the Lord Mayor of London and the Mayor of Chester are also Admirals. And it was felt that it would be a good thing to have a coat of arms. This was granted in 2005. The 3 crowns continue to represent Hull to its citizens, as much as they did to the burgesses who paid for the arms to be put into the windows of St Mary's Church 600 years ago, although technically they are the armorial ensigns of the City Council as a corporate body. But as long as the 3 crowns are used, they will continue to generate interest among residents of and visitors to Hull, an interest which prompted T. Tyndall Wildridge to poetry. Lo, Hull rears a lofty head among old England's towns. There doth she in riches, just ways, and great trade arise. Upon her bright azure shield I see 3 regal crowns, a crown for honour, one for wealth, one for enterprise.